What's up, everybody? This is Dale from Upstate Bets and DFS. I'm here bringing you NFL Week 11 on PrizePicks. So I'm not on PrizePicks right away. I'm talking about some of these over/unders right now and these spreads. So I'm just looking at these, looking at some of the game totals, and see what games are close and what's not. I mean, I looked it over, but I'm just kind of showing you guys. Reoz is not here today. He's going to be joining me on NBA. So there's some solid games going on over there. We'll get to that later in the day. So check that out. If that's already out, go check that one out. So thank you for joining the NFL video. We do these weekly. Usually we do a Thursday night video, but things have been crazy with work this past week, so we haven't been able to do the Thursday night video, but we'll be back next week for Thursday, and obviously we'll do our Sunday video. It's going to be probably a little bit shorter today just because Reoz is not here giving me his picks. I think I got some solid picks, and I'm sure he would agree on a bunch of these and taking some of his guys on these for sure. But yeah, there's a couple good games here. Some of these spreads are pretty close. Cardinals Seahawks is close. Bengals Raiders is close. Packers and Vikings up there is close. And then with the highest game total right here is 56.5. Cowboys Chiefs. So I'm on a couple different games. Really, we used to do betting videos on who we used to take, for picks on spreads and whatnot, but we haven't done those in a while. But if you would like for us to bring those back, we definitely could. Sometimes we like to have a guest join us on there, and just to have fun. Those are just fun videos, and we talk a couple different parlays we do. But we're on PrizePicks today, and PrizePicks has been crushing for the channel lately. You guys have been killing it. For all the support, we can't thank you guys enough for 500 subscribers. Like, that's literally insane how fast that came. So really thank you guys for that. It's seriously a big milestone, and if this is your first time, watching one of our PrizePicks videos, welcome. You can sign up using promo code Upstate, and you get a free $100 deposit match. So you put in 100, you get 100 back. So that's an awesome deal, and you can mix and match sports. Like I said, we're doing an NBA video today. So if you like a prop we're talking about on NBA, and you like one of these NFL props, you can mix and match these sports together, which is honestly awesome that they do that. That's really cool, and it's just super simplified daily sports, man. You got a lot of different sports to choose from. Tyrod Taylor here is at 220.5 for his prop. You can take the over/under on that. You can string together like 4 guys, and you can flex play these, or you can power play them, and you can 5x, 10 extra money. So there's a lot of different things you can do on the app between different statistics and sports. So go check it out if you haven't yet. And PrizePicks, like I said, it's been crushing on the channel. So yeah, we're having some good success. So, like I said, check it out if you haven't. And I'm going to start with the cover boy, man, and that's Christian McCaffrey. So he's on a couple different props here: rushing yards, receiving yards, and receptions. So rush yards, we got him pretty down low here at 59.5. This is the one I'm fading the most, and this is why. So, they got Cam Newton back. I don't know how much they're going to be running, like some RPO type stuff. I know Cam Newton, obviously he's not the runner he used to be. But I don't know how the offense is going to look. One thing I know is McCaffrey is definitely going to have a lot of volume. I think he's going to see 13 to 14 touches. If I knew he was guaranteed to get around 20 touches, I think this would be a lock. And I'm not saying this is not a bad line, because we know that he can get there, and he's a huge play guy. And I'm not fading this entirely, but I'm just saying out of his 3 props, this is probably the one I'm fading the most. Between rushing, receiving, and receptions. His receiving doesn't look too bad. Let me scroll down to it here. And he's at 42.5 on receiving as well. Smashed these just about every game he's played so far, besides that outlier Houston game. And this one does look good. I'm not on this one as much as I am receptions. So at receptions, right now, they got him at 4.5, and I really like that. Obviously they're familiar. Cam Newton and him, they've played together before. So if you want, unfortunately you can't do the same prop on the same like 2 of the same props on the same player. So choosing between the one, I like receptions the most, just at 4.5. Just because I think he's gonna get a lot of dump down work. I think, like I said, they're familiar with each other. I saw 10 targets last game. But honestly, I don't mind taking all 3 look very, very good. I'm sure I'm going to be flexing a majority of them. I'm going to put in a bunch of different lineups come Sunday. But I do like receptions the most, I think, out of all of them. And then I would probably go receiving yards and then rushing. I think rushing is still solid. It's a solid prop, but I think receiving for me is second, and then it goes receptions first. Just because, like I said, he should see a lot of volume. He should see 7 to 8 targets, and after seeing 10 targets last game, I really do think um, he's going to get that same type of volume, that same type of work again. Just to like, you know what I'm saying? They're still in the hunt. They're obviously going to need um, a lot of production from McCaffrey. I understand that they're working him back in and whatnot after injury, but I think he's good. I think he's ready to go, and I think that they're going to want to win this game. And and Washington's coming off a really good game too, so that game should stay pretty tight. They should lean on McCaffrey there, and then he has a rushing or touchdowns prop. I just think Newton might take away from him there a little bit, just in the red zone. So I'm going to be off that one as well. I didn't really talk about that one, but I am going to be off that one. But we'll hop into passing yards, and a couple guys here, that I wanted to talk about. But the first is Justin Fields. His line's been creeping up ever since it released. Really, I think it started at like 179.5. But it's really been creeping up, and I know his game log doesn't look perfect, but he had that awesome game against Pittsburgh, which is my team. And he's at home versus the Ravens. He's coming off a bye, so I like the narrative here, And he's played his last 2 games were his back-to-back best games. And I know not for passing yards against San Francisco, but their rushing ability against San Francisco was amazing. I mean, he had that one run that was all over SportsCenter and whatnot. So I like his upside in this matchup for sure against the Ravens. And everyone's like, oh, this should be tougher, but the Ravens allow like the NFL high in passing yards to opposing quarterbacks this year. So the Ravens defense is not great against quarterbacks, and I know over the years you can just kind of look at Baltimore and assume that they're going to have a solid defense. But that's not the case this year, man. They're giving up around 283 passing yards to opposing quarterbacks on average. So I like Fields in the spot. Like I said, coming off a bye, we saw him start to get Allen Robinson involved a little bit. Komet is there, Mooney. So I mean, obviously, like he has solid pass catchers. Just has to get him more involved. And I like the spot after the bye. I don't think they have a great shot of winning this game. I think that I like Baltimore in this game for sure by a touchdown. But I mean, if they do either way, if they do play from down, Justin Fields is going to have to throw the ball. So the other guy I wanted to talk about, and that's Joe Burrow. And I know Reoz would be on this guy if he was here for sure. He loves taking Burrow props, and this line has been creeping up as well too. This is at 259. Really, this is kind of Joe Burrow's floor. He's hit this pretty much 7 out of his 9 games so far this season. Really just. This is really just a floor for Joe Burrow, and I like this matchup. Going against the Raiders, who just got housed by the Chiefs, in a game that I thought was going to stay competitive against the Chiefs. But the defense just looked bad, and we know what the Raiders are on defense. They play that deep cover 3, and we know Burrow can eat that up. With his slot wideouts like Higgins and Boyd. I don't know if Chase is going to be much a factor in this game going over the top, but he's still got solid pass catchers in the middle, and they use the tight end a fair amount as well. So obviously Burrow just has a solid amount of weapons on that team, and like I said, this is pretty much his floor. So I really like Burrow in this spot. He should throw the ball upwards of almost 40 times. So I really like him here over 259.5. And I'm going to take the over on both those guys. I'm going to hop over to rushing yards, and I'm honestly back on Justin Fields in this spot too. So he's at 33.5. Like I said, when I first looked, it was at 27.5. This has really been creeping up. So honestly, if you're watching this on Saturday, I would try to punch it in as early as you can if you're on it. So it's just a matter of attempts. So ran the ball eight times last game. I thought he would run a little bit more. I thought Pittsburgh would be able to get some pressure to him and he'd be escaping the pocket. But that 10 times against San Francisco looks like very promising. We know that he obviously has a tremendous rushing ability. And I guess it's a little bit whatever you can do, I can do better kind of competitive narrative here between Lamar and Justin Fields. If Fields maybe sees it working for Lamar in the same game, he could try to move around with his legs a little bit more. Obviously, we know Lamar is obviously legendary for his legs and in the pocket and in his scramble ability. but we see Fields here at 33.5. I think it's just a little shallow here. I like the over. In his past 4 games, he's hit this every time. So I think it's going to creep up a little bit. I can see this getting to 35, 36. So I would try to lock it in before it starts to creep up there, because that's when it gets a little bit iffy. But 33 is still solid for me. And his attempts have been going up. And I don't know. I think it's a solid spot for Fields. And the next guy I want to talk about, I've been on him the past couple weeks, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Just literally amping up lately. Compared to those, it was the week 2 and 3, just 2 horrible games for him. But he's like the number one, fantasy running back this year in terms of fantasy points scored. And then Jonathan Taylor, he's just been a monster. And I know when you look at Buffalo, it looks sketchy because Buffalo. They do have a really solid run defense, but I think just based on volume, Taylor can get there. He saw 21 attempts last game, which is his most on the season, and I know they played the Jaguars, but that game was competitive. So realistically, like, it doesn't scare me that even in like a competitive game that they're going to move to the air a little bit more. I don't think that they're going to be able to beat Buffalo deep with Pittman. I still think they're going to have to rely on Taylor. So I like Taylor in the spot. Hopefully he can see 21 attempts next game. That would be, amazing. But even if he does see like 18, 19, which is his usual, I still think that he can get there. He's got that big playability. He could realistically get this, in 2 rushes. We've seen him his career long go for higher than this, which is amazing. And it's a must-win for both teams, realistically. If the Bills win, they could put them in first, and the Colts are kind of the middle of the pack of the AFC. It's a really tight race, and this can really separate them. So why not put the ball in your best player's hand and just let them work? So that's the narrative I'm playing on this prop. And I'm going to ride with it here. I'm going to go Fields over and Jonathan Taylor over in the rushing category. We talked receiving a little bit, but there's one guy at the bottom I want to talk about, and it's just kind of a gut play, man, realistically. We know what he can do, and that's CeeDee Lamb. So this line has creeped up crazy since I first looked at it. I caught this at 62.5. This has been going crazy. This has been going up like crazy. We know the game total is at 56. Will this game live up to the hype? We've seen a lot of games projected for a lot of points this season go under. Then we've seen a lot of shootouts, but we've seen a lot of lopsided shootouts this year. So I think regardless, I think this game should live up to the hype. I think it should be very, very, very high scoring. It should be a shootout. And I think Lamb is going to have a big part of that, man. So we know what he can do as a pass catcher. Smashed last week. Didn't see the most targets I wanted him to see, but we've seen games where he's only seen 9 targets. We've seen games against, like the game against Denver, he saw like 8, 9 targets, only caught 2 balls. We know he's got that big play factor. He's an electric player. So I really like Lamb in this spot. Compared to the rest of the Dallas pass catchers, I don't see a prop right now for Cooper. So we'll see what goes on there, unless Cooper is still. Oh, yeah, Cooper's on the COVID list. So, I mean, obviously, yeah, that's why Lamb's been creeping up. And, I mean, pretty much that just solidifies him as the number 1 right now, in this spot. So, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to even fade him at 75 and a half. And then, you got Cedric Wilson here. I'm not really on him. But we've seen him have big games. He's at 28. It does look solid. And then the next guy or two is Gallup. We haven't seen him had a huge game yet this season, but he just hasn't been healthy, man. So if he can, hopefully he comes to this game and he's healthy. He's a really big play guy. Like Gallup, he's a guy that can catch a 50-yard bomb. So he can get there in one play realistically. And then some of these Chiefs guys, it's just tough, man. You got between Hill and Kelsey. Kelsey had the bigger game last week. Really looked good last week. So I don't know. It's tough with a lot of these guys, but I think Lamb's the guy I'm on the most. And then I'd probably go Gallup. Wilson's kind of like that outlier guy. But he definitely has big playability too. So I like Lamb the most there. I'll take the over on Lamb. And then there's a couple guys here. Marcus Johnson looks pretty good. He saw a lot of targets last game, but it's just tough to go to a guy like that. And between Nico Collins, his targets have been going down too. So there's a lot of guys here you can talk about. I think Jalen Waddle looks intriguing too. Tua's coming back. Well, he played last game. It was weird because he was suited up. Um, you know, he was suited up but not healthy enough to start. But then ends up coming back in the game. He ends up coming into the game later. So, really, really weird scenario over there. But it looks like he's gonna get the start. And I like Waddle, regardless with either quarterback. The game's supposed to stay close. I mean, neither team has scored a ton of points this season. Two bad offenses, but two not great defenses either. I mean, realistically, Waddle really can get here. He should see double-digit targets. That's pretty much the type of guy he should be in this offense. So, I mean, 57 is low for Waddle, in my opinion, against this spot. I mean, the Jets are like historically bad on defense. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it for my props, man. I mean, rushing touchdowns. James Conner's a guy that's getting a lot of red zone work. I know he didn't see a lot of, attempts last game, but that was a blowout. So, Seattle hasn't been playing particularly well this season, so that's a spot you can look for Connor. And then realistically, Mixon, he's pretty much gotten here like every single game. I mean, there was one game he did, he did get a receiving touchdown. Um, but he literally ran one in. It seems like he just runs one in like every single week. He's just one of those guys that you can take. You feel pretty confident in taking him in a game that should be very high scoring. So I really like Mixon in that spot as well. And then you jump over to fantasy score. I mean, not a lot sticks out to me here. I think you could take a stab at someone like Robbie Anderson. I think that he should see a couple more targets, obviously now with the quarterback change. And at 6.5, I think that's a solid line. Cam Newton obviously has ability to throw one and rush one in, and he's got some ability with his legs, so that looks solid too for Cam Newton. A couple of these guys for me look like they're just about where they should be, so there's no serious value I'm looking at here. But as always, if I'm missing something or is there something you want to talk about in the comment section below, you definitely can drop that down there, and I'll get back to you on my opinion on that. And then, like I said, a couple of these I'm on. We got the Fields, Burrow, Fields again, JT, CD Lamb, and then there's a couple other ones. But if you want to tail that, go ahead. We could run that in a flex play. And then I'm going to have some lines that I'm going to drop on Twitter come Sunday around noon Eastern time. So go check that out as well. And if this is your first time being here, make sure to drop a like and sub and ring that bell notification. And we'll see you on the NBA. So thank you guys and peace.